As of recently, rumours have begun to circulate, including within my own comment section, that Clash Mini might be responsible for Clash Royale's recent mistreatment amid Supercell's management. Although a contradictory theory, considering Clash Royale has been on a rather controversial path since 2019 and the addition of Clan Wars 2.0, the game has recently morphed into a cash grab beyond belief, with Clash Mini's launch inside the UK amongst other regions as an open beta now coinciding with these updates. Furthermore, due to Clash Mini's controversial yet well appreciated update 7, it seems as if the game is coming closer to global launch. And with myself personally playing it, I can safely say that this is Supercell's evolved sense of a tower defense game, where instead of towers, you have troops to defend as well as to attack with in a style reminiscent of chess. Due to this sense of evolution, those aforementioned theories have popped up stating that Supercell is purposely milking Clash Royale dry because they theorise that the game will soon be dusted by the global release of Clash Mini. And upon looking into Clash Royale itself as well as the motivations behind Clash Mini, you begin to get a sense that these theories seem more like foreshadowing callings as opposed to mere conspiracy chatter. But why would Supercell do this? Why would they seemingly ruin one of their most popular games as well as their most beloved in fears that another game may eclipse its popularity, one that they made themselves? And is Clash Mini truly killing Clash Royale? I mean, even if this were the case, they could easily bring back players with better Clash Royale updates, so does this theory hold any merit in the first place? Well, the answer is a little more complicated than you'd think, plus there are many counter arguments to be made regarding this matter. I will start off by introducing the game and stating the obvious, and that's the fact that Clash Mini actually has been in development for a while, since November of 2021. It's currently sharing a similar time frame to Brawl Stars, and the fact that both games took a while to go from betas to actual games, although Clash Mini is still in beta, but hype is steadily mounting for this chess-inspired strategy game featuring different troops from the Clash universe. Personally, that time frame about it being in the beta for so long currently worries me a little bit, considering the fact that some of Clash Royale's earlier problems are beginning to align with the same time this game entered beta for the first time, but unfortunately at this stage not much is known about Clash Mini. It's a game that exists, I guess, not many people were able to play it at the time, and until recently I'd never played it until it released in the UK. Then again, I would be foolish to instantly dive into this blaming Clash Mini for everything. I mean, I really think Clash Royale brought it upon themselves after they released a literal update entitled Update for Losers. That was probably one of the more moronic things the Clash development team have ever done, but what can I say? I'm no game development professional, I'm just a furry who has a passion for this sort of thing. Yet it's undeniable that Clash Mini's development has clearly strained the development resources that Supercell has had to offer and to throw at Clash of Clans, Clash Royale and Brawl Stars. And it seemed out of all three of those games, Clash Royale shared enough similarities to get the short end of the stick. Speaking of similarities though, we will first discuss various similarities between both games, that being Clash Royale and Clash Mini. To start off, both feature you going against an opponent, predominantly in a 1 versus 1 environment. In Clash Royale, you get Elixir to use that regenerates to play your troops with the hopes they can take down your opponent's Princess Tower or King Tower whilst defending your own, and honestly, Clash Royale looks like it took that concept, removed the Princess Tower aspect and made the game a lot more rewarding. Furthermore, as for now, considering this is a beta that has moved quite far along in development, a lot of the game's mechanics seem to be somewhat similar, at least involving the attacking as well as the whole Elixir system. There are some differences with the Elixir system. It's rewarded per round based on your performance against an enemy, although there isn't a dramatic shift so you can crush your opponent after the first round. It's gotta be fair, everyone. Many content creators such as Orange and Cashman have recently picked up the game as well, most likely because the beta started to roll out in more countries, but my personal take on Clash Mini is the fact that it's an evolved Clash Royale. I mean, it's already got its own form of battle pass in the form of the mini pass, and the game honestly looks extremely promising. Plus, it's different enough to the point where you can tell Supercell aren't blatantly knocking off Clash Royale with the style of gameplay formatting that they're going for. One extra thing I noticed is the little fighting zones, I don't know what you call them, battle zones, awesome arena, clash chess boards. Anyways, whatever they're called, the little arena things where your warriors fight, I guess you can call it that. Those are designed with parity in mind to Clash Royale, although I will admit one of my massive worries for this game's own longevity is the fact that this game is borrowing a hefty amount from Clash Royale. It's even got abilities for most of its fighters, although abilities have been a big part of Supercell games for a long time now, and Clash Royale was notably late for adopting them in the form of champions. These similarities may end up making a lot of people believe that Clash Mini is actually somewhat indifferent from Clash Royale, and I see two scenarios playing out here. Either this game will absolutely take off and leave Clash Royale in the dust, considering Supercell has already mismanaged that game game to oblivion, or this game will be seen as an absolute flop that tried to capitalize on Clash Royale signature formatting but failed. Either way, with the similarity squared off, I'm willing to flip a coin in this whole matter and move on to the actual talking point of this video, and that happens to be whether or not Clash Mini is killing Clash Royale by merely existing. I'd like to say for the record, a lot of this moving forward is going to be my own personal opinion, but I confidently believe that Clash Mini is having an impact on Clash Royale's management, and my evidence goes as follows. Clash Mini's style of gameplay being similar to Clash Royale is probably no coincidence. Every now and again, a studio decides to put a better spin on an idea, rehashing it to bring it further purpose and to make it stand out as a prominent force. It's almost too coincidental how similarly these games play out, yet Clash Mini seems more optimized. Maybe it's because it's a beta and this stuff is prone to changing, but there's a lot more versatility with the fighters you can deploy, the different strategies you can play. There's a dynamic part of this as well. You take tiles on a little arena / chessboard that you engage in combat with your opponent on, as opposed to battling inside of a whole arena. The whole thing is quiet, it gives you a peaceful atmosphere, and it inspires you to treat the game more or less as a chess match, which, as much as I admire chess, isn't as competitive as, say, dueling inside of an arena. This subversion of expectations is an exceptionally smart move, as Supercell has observed that people rage quitting Clash Royale has become an issue as of late, considering how they issued that dreaded alongside Forsaken update for losers, which honestly killed any of the remaining hope that remained within those who play Clash Royale with a burning passion. You're no longer sitting in front of thousands, your battles are no longer as fiercely incredible. Instead, you sit quaintly playing chess against an opponent without too much on the line other than your reputation and any form of rewards you will reap. Whether it be trophies or it be rewards that you claim in game, it feels a lot more friendly as opposed to Clash Royale. You're not enemies, you're merely practicing against one another for a bigger duel, if you will. Consequently, this shift in atmosphere follows along with the morphing meta surrounding mobile games. No longer is competition such a competitive force like it once used to be. Not everyone wishes to spend their time channeling endless anger to fight virtual battles, nor do they wish to be the very best to trump opponents simply because they enjoy the game they play. Rage quitting is responsible for a good deal of uninstalls regarding Clash Royale, and although the potential for frustration within Clash Mini is still there, it is not as prevalent as in Clash Royale. This alone doesn't sound too convincing. If anything, this is beginning to sound like a rough blueprint of what Supercell's gaming philosophy is slowly but surely becoming. But introduce the act of sabotage within the form of how much a cash grab Clash Royale has become, and you'll soon start to see my point coming together regarding Supercell's plans to split apart the casual player base from the competitive player base in the form of both games to ensure maximum profitability within both. Supercell's intentional design of a not so competitive game collides beautifully with a game that's ripe for exploitation. For people to become outraged at the state of Clash Royale and its monetary policies, only for Supercell to go ahead and advertise Clash Mini, a game remarkably similar to Clash Royale yet designed to be more casual in an act of trying to segregate both player bases into their own games. Those who want to continue playing Clash Royale competitively whilst constantly tilting and sending their mental health up the tailspin continue to do so, whilst those who are sick of being preyed upon can go to Clash Mini, which is beginning to look like a free-to-play haven. It has been heavily rumoured that during August or September of this year, Clash Mini will have finalised its internal trial process, and judging by its slow rollout to places such as the United Kingdom and some European nations, Clash Mini's global launch only seems inevitable. Supercell have been working on this game for virtually 2 years at this point. They may seem a little predatory at times, but even they know what they're doing. As I commented in my previous video, they've intentionally messed up the average free-to-play player's experience. Those players have now migrated to Boom Arena as well, which can only do so much in the grand scheme of things. But now that Clash Mini seemingly is on the horizon, those players who are outraged at Clash Royale's treatment may choose to install Clash Mini, only to see how truly wonderful of a game it is in comparison to Clash Royale, how it lives mostly free of the grip that monetization has over Clash Royale, and how the cycle of life with this game will begin again, only to soon be eclipsed by yet another Supercell game in a few years, predatory monetary policies involved or not. Moreover, those who are pleased with their experience after leaving Clash Royale and then migrating to Clash Mini may end up spending some of their money, even though it's not as much as the whales inside of Clash Royale may. Yeah, I won't get them too far. It seems as if the balancing inside of Clash Mini is well optimized, and if Clash Royale's matchmaking is anything to base arguments off, it seems as if the matchmaking is intentionally rigged to incentivize people to purchase cards or packs in the shop, especially seeing how they shove those offers right in your face. If we peer into Supercell's financial statistics, of which the legitimacy is disputed, so please bear that in mind, we can see that Supercell generated much more revenue, a whopping $8 million more than its previous months during June of 2023, which usually would stand at $4 to $5 million monthly. These statistics are a rough estimate as stated before and are only sourced from the iOS variation of the game, as Android profits are a little more opaque in comparison. It seems that Supercell really did put on the burners regarding who would purchase everything and who wouldn't, carefully measuring who would protest against this and who wouldn't as well. Boycotting Clash Royale is impossible. Those in the leaderboard spend the money knowing full well that they're addicted to the game, and they know that their glory, regardless of how long-standing or insignificant it may be, is worth more than the hard-take their wallets experience. This outrage against Clash Royale has seemingly driven up the downloads of Clash Mini in places such as the United Kingdom too, something that may not have happened if Supercell hadn't taken this monumentally gluttonous approach to updating the game. Yet I'd like to argue that this whole situation regarding potential sabotage gets even more foggy when you look at one of Supercell's top investors, Tencent. For those who are unfamiliar, Tencent is a Chinese media conglomerate who mainly conduct their business dealings in the form of gaming, yet their history of products goes as far as WeChat and QQ, the latter of which practically is a portal to doing things as complex as paying your taxes, getting groceries and hailing a taxi cab in China. Whilst this seems insignificant by itself, it also has stakes inside of international game studios such as a 40% stake in Epic Games and a whopping 81% stake in Supercell, essentially ensuring the full ownership of Supercell thanks to Tencent. Tencent is essentially the border police for media that's allowed to travel into China. There are strict standards your game must follow for it to enter the country or not, obviously because the country has a market filled with 1.2 billion people willing to play games. Therefore, it must comply with Chinese internet censorship regulations too. The year of Tencent's primary acquisition of Supercell will be a year familiar to your ears, 2016, shortly after release of Clash Royale. It is heavily debated that Tencent, from an investor standpoint, inherited a good majority of the responsibility required for the success of Clash Royale. Whilst Clash of Clans was created while Supercell was an independent company, Clash Royale lays in murky waters, as it's believed to have been Tencent's primary justification for acquiring the Finnish game studio. There are many laws in China regarding gambling that I cannot get into for the sake of not wanting to make this video 40 minutes long, but it limits Clash Royale's domestic success rate inside of China, and well, Tencent, viewing it as Supercell's most profitable game aside from Clash of Clans, a game that Tencent are unable to touch per a contract agreement with Supercell, slowly but surely wish to make the game more profitable. It is believed their silent influence began in 2019 with the introduction of Clan Wars 2.0, which made the original Clan Wars system and the ancient system regarding clan chest even more redundant than it had ever been. Tencent were further Spectre-like behaviour by silently intervening with Clash Royale's development during 2020, which is when prices slowly but surely began to creep up and currencies were further unbalanced. This was furthered by the addition of champions, forces that only the elite could unlock, and those who were completely overpowered during the first month of gameplay until it became meta, albeit at the expense of people's money and wallets. Then the Pass Royale was nerfed, and in came the Diamond Pass Royale. The update for losers was added, which quite frankly was insulting, before finally in comes Clash Royale's reckoning in the form of level 15 and evolutions, an update driven purely by greed that Tencent endorses as a profit-driven company. With China already wrapped around their fingers and ambitions to expand into the international market whilst having money to wield to purchase these companies, it's no wonder why Tencent wishes for one of their true international assets to bring in the money they initially invested in Supercell. Tencent can only do so much if it purchases unprofitable companies, so they breathe down the neck of those who can make them a respectable amount of money. And well, because Supercell was technically one of their first major purchases, and because they're currently working on a new game that Tencent is rumored to have involvement in, considering their main concern is regulating games relating to the Clash universe, considering Clash of Clans and Clash Royale are moderately successful in China without many competitive clones existing, Tencent wishes to keep their most domestically and internationally influential studio around its leash whilst keeping it profitable. Therefore, the need to segregate the players between the casual and and competitive to further drive up profits on the behalf of Supercell and itself. With enough failed projects under its belt, no doubt Supercell has had to put on the burners to appease their overlords and to drawing even more money as it prepares to launch its next project, albeit this time they seem to have some optimism. Yet that optimism is driven from a source riddled with uncertainty. Will Clash Mini be the Clash Royale killer that few have theorized it will be, or will it be yet another failure that will further tarnish Supercell's reputation? As it seems, only time can tell, but judging by the fact Brawl Stars has become more free-to-play friendly, Tencent's main priority happens to be games and merchandising related to the Clash universe. If Supercell does well, they may end up repealing some of these updates if it's even possible. If not, their fate may very well hang in the balance if they are unable to make one of their most anticipated games stick. Day by day, the sabotaging of Clash Royale's reputation through its abhorrent monetization and its exploitation is evolving into more than a mere outrage, but an elaborate scheme designed to leverage the success of the two titans that have signed a forbidden agreement to enhance their profitability as well as their global influence. However, this is just one of many theories, my own personal theory. Let me know if you guys agree with it and whether or not you enjoy this alternative style of video. As for now, this has been Nadevar discussing Clash Mini and Clash Royale's strained relationship. May the cosmos shine upon it, and I'll see you all in the next one.